Welcome to the PJ Who Podcast. I'm your host, PJ, and if this is your very first time checking out my podcast, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to check it out. I promise you won't be disappointed, and I'm not just saying that because it's my podcast. I'm saying that because I'm giving you guys information and talking about things that most people are not talking about. This is a basketball podcast. This is not strictly an NBA podcast. Yes, predominantly I'm going over the NBA, but I also like to talk about international, college, and high school basketball as well. There's 4 segments that I go over week in and week out. The first being a segment I like to call PJ's Echelon. Now, in PJ's Echelon, essentially, is just my power rankings. I'm giving you guys my top 10 teams, and I'm giving you about 2 to 3 teams that I consider on the bubble. I'll give you guys the full parameters for that segment very here shortly. Another segment I like to go over is a segment I like to call What's New. Now, in What's New, I'm giving you guys some type of NBA statistic information, some type of NBA history, or it's just me ranting about something. Another segment I like to go over is a segment I like to call Games of the Week. Now, in Games of the Week, I'm going to give you guys games that I'm looking forward to that week, games of some type of significance, or games that I just really, really enjoyed watching. Last segment is a segment I like to call In the Lab. Now, in the Lab, essentially, I'm talking about today's NBA's rookies. I'm talking about international basketball, high school basketball, and college basketball. I want to let you guys know this is being recorded Monday, March 3rd at about 11 a.m., 2015. And also in about 2 weeks, in honor of March Madness kicking off, after Selection Sunday on the 16th, I will be releasing an episode for March Madness in honor of March Madness. So in that episode, I'll be talking about the field of 64, what team I think is going to the Final Four, but also I'll give you guys my full bracket. I'll be giving you guys 10 to 15 prospects that I will be keeping my eyes out on for during the tournament as well. So you're not going to miss that episode. That's going to be a strictly college episode. I did one at the beginning of the year, which was, I think, episode 15. I did that. I'll leave the link up in the corner if you want to check out some of my college content. But yeah, that's literally going to be strictly college in about 2 weeks. So we'll record our normal segments and stuff today and next week. But the week after that, we're going college on you guys, man. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. I think there's going to be some players that you may have never heard of, or maybe even players you know of that I'll be keeping my eyes out on, but we'll see. Anyways, I want to get started on today's episode with the first segment being PJ's Echelon. Now, in PJ's Echelon, it's a progressive list because I'm a progressive man. I'm not a perfect man. But the criteria that I like to use when I'm going over my power rankings week in and week out, first being the team's strength of schedule, statistically where your team sits, the team's record, but also the eye test, okay? So I don't want to waste any more time with you guys. Again, remember, I'm recording this Monday, March 3rd at about 11 a.m. So anything that happens later on today, obviously, is not going to count towards the power rankings. Let's get straight into it, all right? My number 1 team this week, this team is 49-11, and that is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma right now, they're 5th in offensive efficiency, they're 1st in defensive efficiency, and they're 1st in net rating. They're 1st in points off of turnovers. They get about 22 a game. They allow the fewest points off of their turnovers at 13. They're 1st in opponents' fast break points at only allowing 12. They average the 2nd most drives per game at 56, and they're 4th in catch and shoot points per game at 34.5 points. Number 2, this team is 50-10, and that is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland, right now, they're 1st in offensive efficiency, they're 7th in defensive efficiency, and they're 2nd in net rating. They're on a 10-game winning streak, which is the longest streak in the NBA. I felt like I wanted to move them up slightly over Boston. Yes, Boston was not fully healthy during that game, but also I want to give credit to Cleveland for what they have done over this 10-game stretch. And also I just love the command that Evan Mobley really took over that game against Boston, in my opinion. And if he's going to play like that, Cleveland got a chance against Boston, you know. That's only if he's going to show up. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But they also are 17-3 against the Western Conference, which is, I think, really, really great since obviously the West is a stronger conference. They're 35-4 in games decided by 10 points or more. So they're just killing teams left and right. So I'll put them at number 2 just for this week, all right? Number 3. This team is 41-16, and that is the Boston Celtics. Boston right now, they're 3rd in offensive efficiency, they're 5th in defensive efficiency, and they're 3rd in net rating. They had a pretty bad loss to Detroit, and it was the second night of a back-to-back, though. But they were pretty much healthy, you know, and I just couldn't ignore them. Like, there's no wrong in losing to Detroit. I'm not faulting them for losing to Detroit, but the way they lost I mean, they got killed, you know. But also, they were in Toronto the night before, and I know Boston players, they really love Toronto for some reason. But yeah, I slightly brought them down just because they did lose to Detroit and they lost to Cleveland. So I just put them down to 3 this week. Probably get back up to 2 pretty soon here, but I got them at 3 this week. They're second in pull-up shots points per game at 25. They average 25 points off of pull-up shots in the NBA, and that's second on 26 attempts. They're third in opponents' field goal percentage at 45, and they're third in opponents' three-point percentage at 34.5. Boston's number 3 this week for me. Number 4, this team is 38-21, and that is the Los Angeles Lakers. Los Angeles right now, they're 10th in offensive efficiency, they're 13th in defensive efficiency, and they're 13th in net rating. Last week, I said I wanted to see more of them. They went 4-0 this week. So for right now, I'm putting them at the 4th spot. They're playing really great basketball right now. I can't take that away from this team. Shout out to Scott Brooks and Nate McMillan as well for defensively getting this team right. I feel like nobody's talking about the assistant coaches that JJ Redick has on his staff. Like, these are 2 really good. They were solid head coaches, but these are really good. They've been really, really good assistant coaches for JJ's staff as well. Since January 1st, they're first in opponents' field goal percentage at 44%, and they're second in opponents' three-point percentage at 33.5%, and they're also first in opponents' points per game at 107. They got New York and Boston this week, so I'll be keeping a close eye on the Lakers. Number 5, this team is 40-20, and that is the New York Knicks. New York right now, they're 4th in offensive efficiency, they're 19th in defensive efficiency, and they're 6th in net rating. They had a pretty solid week this week. They went down to South Beach and they won in South Beach over the weekend, which is never an easy feat. It's never an easy thing to do because we know what distractions lie in Miami. Okay, so I always give people credit when they go down and they win in Miami, really on the weekends. Okay, they had a good win in Memphis as well. They're 5-0 in overtime games. They're 6-1 in games decided by 3 points or less. Since January 1st, they are allowing their opponents to shoot the best 3-point percentage in the NBA at 39%. But they are only allowing the 4th fewest attempts per game at 34. Number 6, this team is 39-22, and that is the Denver Nuggets. Denver right now, they're 2nd in offensive efficiency, they're 17th in defensive efficiency, and they're 5th in net rating. So this week, they kind of split their games. They lost to the Bucks, but beat the Pistons on the second night of a back-to-back. Nikola Jokic is the first player in NBA history to have a true shooting percentage of 70 while averaging 25-plus points and a triple-double for the month of February. So shout out to Nikola Jokic for what he did in the month of February. Since January 1st, they're 6th in opponents' field goal percentage at 45.5%. They're 9th in opponents' three-point percentage at 36%. That is Denver at number 6. Number 7, this team is 38-22. And that is the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis right now, they're 6th in offensive efficiency. They're 9th in defensive efficiency, and they're 4th in net rating. They're 4-6 in their last 10. Just this team is really struggling with staying healthy. I think they are a team. I think they're a team that we should be watching out for this summer, potentially to make a trade, a big trade. Because they have the assets, in my opinion, to make that trade. That's just something I wanted to throw out to you guys. But also, since January 1st, this team is 22nd in defensive rating, but they're 4th in offensive rating, so their defense has slipped quite a bit since January 1st. But Memphis is number 7 on my big board this week. Number 8, this team is 34-25, and that is the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks right now, they're 12th in offensive efficiency, they're 10th in defensive efficiency, and they're 10th in net rating. They went 3-1 this past week, and it was a very solid showing in my opinion. They're 2nd in the NBA in three-point percentage at 38%. They're 7th in field goal percentage at 48%. They're 6th in ISO frequency at 8%. They're 2nd in field goal percentage in the ISO at 46%. This is a great ISO team. Number 9, this team is 34-25, and that is the Indiana Pacers. Indiana right now, they're 8th in offensive efficiency, they're 20th in defensive efficiency, and they're 16th in net rating. So I didn't hold the losses to Denver and Miami over them because for me, they passed the eye test a little better than the team that I have at number 10. But also they played Denver on the second night of a back-to-back, and they played Miami on a Friday night, which we all know Miami, South Beach is problematic. Okay, so I didn't hold that over their head. They're third in pick and roll man frequency at 7%. They average the second most points out of that at 9.5 points per game. They're fifth in post up frequency in the NBA at 5%. They're fourth in points off of that as well at 6.5 points. Number 10. This team is 37-23, and that is the Houston Rockets. Houston right now, they're 15th in offensive efficiency. They're fourth in defensive efficiency, and they're seventh in net rating. They have the fifth worst field goal percentage in the NBA at 45%. They're dead last in assists per game at 23, and they're 29th in free throw percentage, per game at 75%. They're 5-5 in their last 10. But they're still locking up on defense. Don't get it twisted. They're fifth in opponents' field goal percentage at 45%. They're sixth in opponents' three-point percentage at 35%. And they're fifth in opponents' points per game at 109 a game. And my teams that I have on the bubble, in no particular order, I have the Detroit Pistons, the Golden State Warriors, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. You guys let me know down in the comment section below who is in your top 10, and then who do you also have on your bubble. My next segment is a segment I like to call What's New. Now, in What's New, I'm giving you guys some type of NBA statistical history that was made, or just some type of NBA history that was made, or it's me just ranting, okay? I just want to get straight into it. So, the least field goals attempted in a game where a player scored 55 or more points. James Harden did it in 2019. He had 24 attempts. He did it again in 2019. He had 24 attempts. In 2017, he had 25 attempts. Michael Jordan did it on 25 attempts in 1987. And then also joining that group newly with 25 attempts was Steph Curry against the Magic last Thursday. Giannis has the most 25, 15, and 5 games over the last 50 years. Shaedon Sharpe off the bench was the first 35-point game off the bench for the Blazers since Travis Outlaw in 2007. Shaedon had 36 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block in that game. Right up in the corner, I'm going to leave this insane highlight that he ended up displaying during that game. And also, next thing, Luka now becomes one of 3 players in league history to notch a triple-double against all 30 NBA teams. The other is LeBron James and Russell Westbrook, so shout out to Luka. Luka just turned 26. Walker Kessler joins Nikola Jokic as the only players in NBA history to record 25-plus points, 10-plus rebounds, 5-plus assists on 0 turnovers on 100% field goal shooting, so shout out to Walker Kessler. Kyle Filipowski is the first Utah Jazz rookie to record 20, 10, and 5 in a game since Karl Malone did back in 86. Tyrese Maxey becomes the first player to ever score 30-plus points while going 0 for 10 from the three-point line. Josh Giddey against the Philadelphia 76ers had 25 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks, and a plus 28 plus or minus rating, joining Artis Gilmore as the only Bulls with those numbers in a single game. Dyson Daniels recorded the third most 7 steals game in NBA history before turning the age of 22. Only Magic Johnson and Ron Artest have had more. Tyrese Halliburton is the first player in NBA history to record 500 assists before reaching 500 turnovers in a season. Nikola Jokic has the most 20, 15, and 15 games in the last 60 years. And now Trae Young, unfortunately, Trae Young holds the record for most consecutive games with at least 1 turnover at 339 games. You guys let me know down in the comment section below what's new. What did you learn over this last week? And what things are you looking forward to this week in learning? My next segment is a segment I like to call Games of the Week. Now, in Games of the Week, I'm giving you guys games of some type of significance, games that I really enjoyed, or games that I'm looking forward to this week. So this week, there was a lot of games that I really enjoyed last week, but there's also a lot of really solid games this week. So predominantly today, I want to focus on the games that are coming up, because we're hitting the home stretch. I think each team got like 23, 24 games left. So I really just want to keep looking forward, more so than us going backwards, So let's talk about that. So games this week that I'm really looking forward to. On Monday, we got the Rockets versus the Thunder, which obviously is tonight. They play tonight. This is Oklahoma City's second night of a back-to-back. So just keep that in mind as they play tonight. And then Tuesday, Another game that I'm really looking forward to is Rockets versus the Pacers. That's tomorrow night. Another game tomorrow I'm really looking forward to is Warriors versus the Knicks. Wednesday, I'm looking forward to the Jazz versus the Wizards because it's a lot of young talent in that game. So I'm just looking forward to watching two young teams play against each other. Another game I'm looking forward to Wednesday is the Kings versus Denver. Kings are kind of on a little streak right now. I think they're on a 3-game win streak. But yeah, they play Denver. And then also the Grizzlies play the Thunder on Wednesday. The Pistons play the Clippers on Wednesday. I think those are going to be good games as well. Thursday, I'm looking forward to the Knicks versus the Lakers. Friday, I'm looking forward to the Timberwolves playing Miami and Miami. I'm interested just to see how does the Timberwolves handle South Beach. Also, Friday, we got the Knicks versus the Clippers. Saturday, we got the Magic versus the Bucks. Saturday, we also got the Lakers versus the Celtics. Saturday, also, we got the Pistons versus the Warriors. Next Sunday, we got Denver versus the Thunder. We got the Cavs versus the Bucks. We got the Pistons versus the Blazers. And then we also got the Kings versus the Clippers, okay? You guys let me know down in the comments section below. What games are you guys looking forward to this week? I think there's a lot of really good games this week, and I'm just looking forward to it. So you guys let me know down in the comment section below. What games are you guys looking forward to this week? Or even what games did you guys like last week? My next segment is a segment I like to call In the Lab. Now, in the Lab, I'm talking about today's NBA rookies, or I'm talking about high school, or I'm talking about college, or I'm talking about international basketball. Today's segment, we're actually going to cover a little bit of all of it. So I'm going to just dive straight into it. We're going to talk about some news first, and then we'll go to high school. So 5-star Nate Ament. He's a number 4 rated player in class of 2025. He's down to 5 schools. He's going to be choosing between Arkansas, Duke, Kentucky, Louisville, and Tennessee. I also wanted to just take this moment and tell you guys also, I think Koa Pete, he's the number 8 rated player in class of 2025. I think he's going to end up choosing Houston. I don't have any type of inside source on that, but that's just my public opinion. I also want to let you guys know the Italian Basketball Federation is reportedly making efforts to try to convince Dante DiVincenzo to play for Euro Basketball in 2025. So I thought that was really interesting. I think they're trying to get him to play on the international team. Another thing, 5 members of the Barcelona U18 team have been officially called up to the EuroLeague squad as injury replacements, one including 13-year-old Mohamed Dabon. I've been talking about Mohamed Dabon here quite a bit to you guys, so I thought that was really crazy to hear that he's going to be doing that. He's 6'11". Yes, he's 13 or 14. Maybe he's really not. I know people have their skeptics. I don't really care. The kid's special. He's a great player for his age, but he's going to be playing up potentially for that, so I'll be looking out for that in Euro basketball. He'll be the youngest player ever to play in the EuroLeague at 13. Okay, so some high school news that took place and that I kind of just wanted to take just note of and want to give it to you guys is Darren Peterson has been on a whole nother level for prolific prep throughout this year. Their team record right now is 22-2. He's averaging 30 points and 7 assists per game, shooting 44% from 3. I love Darren Peterson. In my opinion, he's the most polished offensive player in this class and arguably the number 1 player in this class. I think AJ has the highest upside, and I think Cam Boozer right now has the best all-around game out of all of them. But I love Darren Peterson, man. I've been talking about him for months with you guys, but yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to him on the segment right now. Also, UConn signee and All-American number 13 rated player Braylon Mullins dropped 26 points. And he scored his 2,065th career point, becoming the all-time leader in Greenfield Central High School history in Indiana. So shout out to Braylon Mullins. He'll be going to UConn next year. And now I want to get into talking a little bit about some of our... So at the beginning of the college basketball season, I gave you guys 30 players. And I told you these were going to be players I'll be keeping my eyes out on. Week in and week out, I've been slowly just chipping away at it. So we're going to do another 5 players today with you guys. We're going to start off one with Colin Murray Boyles. He's a 6'7" sophomore power forward from South Carolina. Right now on the season, Colin Murray Boyles is averaging 30 minutes a game. He's averaging 17 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.5 steals, 1.5 blocks. He's averaging 2.5 turnovers and 2.5 personal fouls a game. He's shooting 59% from the field, which is leading the SEC, which in my opinion is the toughest conference in college basketball. He's shooting 26% from 3 on 1 attempts, and he's shooting 70% from the free throw line on 5.5 attempts. I think his player comp, in my opinion, is like a Draymond Green / Julius Randle is my player comp for him. I really like Collins' game a lot. Another player I want to talk about is Liam McNeely. He's a 6'7" shooting guard / small forward. He's a freshman at UConn. He's averaging 32 minutes a game. He's averaging 15 points, 6 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 0.5 steals, 2 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. He's shooting 41.5% from the field, 35.5% on threes on 5 attempts. He's shooting 86% from the free throw line on 5 attempts. I really like McNeely's game as well. I think he's going to be a really good player at the next level. I think he's going to be a very solid role player at the next level. Another player I want to talk about is Isaiah Evans. Isaiah Evans is a 6'6" shooting guard / small forward. He goes to Duke right now. He's only playing 14 minutes a game, but he's averaging 8 points, 1 rebound, 1 personal foul. He's shooting 45.5% from the field. He's shooting 45% from 3 on 4.5 attempts. He's shooting 80% from the free throw line on 1 attempt. Isaiah Evans, I believe if he was in our rotation, because I'm a Duke fan, if he was in our rotation earlier in the year when we lost to Kansas and Kentucky, I believe we win both of those games. But Isaiah Evans is just a pure sniper, man. He's a pure sniper. I love watching him play. He has no filter. He shoots like he got the ultimate green light. I love Isaiah Evans. He's somebody that's probably going to be on my list of players to watch for in the NCAA tournament because he's just lightning in a bottle. He gets hot. He gets blazing hot really fast. Another player I want to talk about is Ian Jackson. He's a 6'4" shooting guard, freshman at North Carolina. He averages about 25.5 minutes per game. He averages 13 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, about 0.5 steals, about a half a steal a game, 1 turnover, 1.5 personal fouls a game. He's shooting 47% from the field. He's shooting 40% from 3 on 4 attempts. He's shooting 73% from the free throw line on 3 attempts. Ian Jackson, that North Carolina team, this year has been kind of a weird one. They really lack, having a true traditional big man. So I think that's just overall has affected this team. Ian Jackson has been in and out of the starting lineup this year. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. I feel like you got to really watch film on Ian Jackson, but I think Ian Jackson is a pro. It'll be interesting to see if he ends up going back to North Carolina for a sophomore season or not. I don't think that's a bad idea, but I think he's a pro. I think he's ready to go pro now, in my opinion. Another player I want to talk about is Jackson Robinson. He's a 6'6" senior shooting guard / small forward at University of Kentucky. He averages 28 minutes a game. He's averaged 13 points, 3.5 rebounds, 2 assists, a half a steal, and a half a block a game. He shoots 43% from the field, 37.5% from 3. And he shoots 76% from the free throw line on 1.5 attempts, and he averages 2 personal fouls. Jackson Robinson, I honestly just like the form on his jump shot a very lot, to be honest. It'll be interesting to see if a team drafts him. He's like a 2nd round prospect I can see somebody drafting, and he probably maybe can develop into like a 3-and-D player at the next level. But yeah, so those are the 5 players I wanted to talk about to you guys today. Like I said, in about 2 weeks, we'll have a strictly college episode. I'm really looking forward to that because there's some prospects again during the NCAA tournament that I can't wait to tell you guys about. And also I can't wait to do my bracket on camera. I've never done anything like this before. So I'm really excited to just really talk about college basketball to you guys and just give you guys my inside look on college basketball as best as I can. I'm not some college basketball expert by any means. I'm really good at understanding prospects and scouting. I'm really solid at that. But this was the first year where I really, really, really dove into college teams. So I'm excited to make my bracket with this newfound knowledge that I discovered, because I've always watched college, but this year, I doubled down and watching it, making a real conservative effort to watch 5, 6, 7 games on Tuesdays and Saturdays and throughout the week for college, So I'm just excited to really talk about college with you guys. I want to thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to check out my podcast. Again, I'm your host, PJ, and PJ's out.